Start first with Morehead State first-year head coach Brady Ward. Spent time as the pitching coach, recruiting coordinator with the program. Now moves into that head coaching role. Team picked second this season. They won the regular season last year. So, Coach, I guess talk about moving over a chair and stepping into being the head coach and taking over the MSU program.
Yeah, very fortunate for the opportunity. Sometimes I don't want to say I wasn't prepared, but you're not expecting it to happen. So Coach Aoki did a great job of providing me some leadership and still acting as a mentor. We talk pretty frequently throughout this whole ordeal and stuff. And yeah, it's exciting. It's obviously nice to keep a familiar group of guys that I've spent the last 3 years with, but really excited for the chance to get out on the field and see someone other than ourselves.
If you had moved jobs and taken a head coaching job somewhere else, that might be a whole different experience. It's an obvious question, but talk about just already being familiar with the program instead of having to kind of maybe start from scratch, I guess.
Yeah, there's definitely an established culture that probably precedes even Coach Aoki and my arrival with Coach McGuire and that hard nosed blue collar grit type that we preach on a daily basis, right? But just consistency from an administration standpoint and having those relationships that people are one text phone call away 24/7 365 makes the transition that much more seamless.
Um, I will start with that. What are your just general thoughts on your team and what do you expect to see from them when they hit the field next week?
Yeah, it's exciting, right? You're going to see a lot of familiar faces who have been around this league twice, three times, had success. The likes of obviously Riley Priest, who was last year's returning player of the year, Colton Becker at shortstop, and all conference performer, Roman Kuntz, Nick Gooden, Luke Helton, Grant Heron, some guys that have logged a lot of innings, have a ton of at bats and experience, and just the ability to bring on some of the new faces, right, that you might not be as familiar with, but having a mature, older group who's been to an OVC championship now and was able to win that regular season title just allows me to kind of set back and say, hey, players lead, just go do your thing, control the locker room, control the field. Ultimately, you're the one driving the bus.
You mentioned some players there. What do you like most about this team, maybe besides some of that experience?
I think it's one of the closer groups that I've ever been around, both as a player and coach. These guys love each other. They run in packs, and when I say a pack, it's 30 plus guys. You see them everywhere throughout the town, on the campus, in the community. It's a loving environment, but also an environment that comes with a ton of accountability. These guys are able to, hold each other to a very high standard that we preach, and when they take losing personal, it's one of those deals where across from them stands an enemy, and they've learned how to win over the past few years. And I think that's probably the greatest trait that you could ever ask to come out of a locker room.
And again, you mentioned some of those returners. How do you go then and construct the rest of your roster when you have holes to fill, graduates, players have transferred? What did you have to do this year to fill it out?
Yeah, we lost some pieces to graduation. We lost a transfer arm in Luke Lyman, who was an all-conference guy last year, all freshman, I should say. And they're big pieces. We're fortunate to have one of our graduates, John Bakke. He joined the staff in a graduate role, doing some video and data analytics. And it's going to be weird next Friday when we step on the field and he's in a uniform, but he's standing next to me. But just decorated guys. So our kind of approach is to find the right guys as much as anything. Yeah, talent is of a premium, but if we can find consistency and dudes that want to be here and preach the right things and just kind of, as I always say, eyes up, but head down and just go to work from day one. So we were able to attack it. We added a catcher transfer, a junior college arm or two, and then a freshman class that, because you have so many older guys, you get them a chance to have some real mentors and kind of grow, become better players before maybe they get a chance to step on the field.
What's one thing that your team would need to do to be in contention to win the OVC championship this year?
I think the easy answer would just be stay healthy. We know that there's talent on this roster and there's depth on this roster, but obviously health is of the premium and sometimes out of our control. But beyond that, if they can just kind of continue to stick by each other's side throughout the whole thing and enjoy the ride as much as possible, I think we should be in a good position at the end of the whole thing.
So we have 10 OVC baseball teams now with the addition of Western Illinois. Just what's your impression of the league overall now that it sits at 10 members?
Yeah, I think it's great. Obviously, I like having the even number. I was fortunate during the COVID shortened year to spend that season at Western Illinois with my head coach Andy Pasco. So know what Macomb looks like and kind of what they have to offer. It's a program that should step in right away and be very competitive. I think with Lindenwood and Southern, being in year two of their transition now, they were good teams last year, and they're just going to continue to raise their bar. But overall, there's a ton of parity. These preseasons come out, and quite frankly, it is just names on paper, because we know on any given week when you go on the road at a SEMO or a Martin or an Edwardsville, I mean, you name it, and not to dismiss anyone, those are tough places, and winning on the road is tough. And we look to make it very tough when people come into Sunny Island Field with its uniqueness and give them a run for their money.
Well, since you've been in Morehead now for a couple years, though, you mentioned the league has changed a little bit every year, and some teams leaving, some teams coming in. But would you say the level of competition is still there, and as sort of you referenced that the teams that have added value?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, last year alone, just in the draft and seeing Hunter Mann and Hobson from Martin, and obviously Jackson Feltner of our own, and others that I've missed. Ryan Ignafo, who seemed like he was here my entire tenure and very decorated playing career. There's such top end talent that goes unnoticed sometimes, but there's really good players up and down this league. I think the bar will continue to raise. I think college baseball is in a great place, and guys are getting better. There's phenomenal coaches in this league. Resources are being added daily, and it's just upward trajectory.
What about your schedule? Tell us a little bit about that, and what you see in the non-conference.
Yeah, so we're gonna leave next Thursday and head to Davidson College, which was Coach Aoki's alma mater. So we'll go down there for a 3-game set. Davidson's going to be a really good opponent, always at the top of the A10 conference. First midweek, we're not picking any slouch. We're going up the road to Lexington to play UK, who was obviously in the LSU Super Regional last year. Very tough opponent. We played them in the fall. It's talent up and down the lineup, top to bottom on that pitching staff. Week 2, we'll head to North Alabama to see another A-Sun opponent. And then for our spring break, we're going to head to Ole Miss and play the SEC foe for the year, which should be a really good opportunity, knowing the type of talent that accompanies that roster.
And you all have always played good teams like Kentucky and Louisville in the midweek. How has that really helped your progression as you get deeper into conference play?
Yeah, it's awesome, right? Because, Tuesday games, sometimes you're like, hey, don't know who we're going to see in the lineup on the mound. Those guys have so much talent that you're getting someone who's going to push us a little bit and prepare us as best possible for conference play. So we're excited. We love it. Our guys love it, especially the in-state kids. It's a chance to play in front of families and just a little chip on the shoulder, right? But it's a great opportunity and really good environments. Louisville, that's usually a free admission game, so we're seeing 3,000-4,000 on a good weather day, and gets excited. Not only for a player but for a coach too.
We'll end with this question. So the OVC Championship is back in Marion this year. What were your impressions of the venue like last year? You all went to the championship game, and just about the event being there again.
Unbelievable venue for us. I think it's the perfect setting, the perfect town. Ralph does a phenomenal job with his staff. I actually cross paths with him recruiting a little bit this fall, and the hospitality's top notch. We were fortunate enough to stay at the hotel right across the parking lot. So I jokingly tell everyone we didn't even use the bus. It was boys in the uniform, coaches in the uniform, walking straight across the parking lot to the stadium. But awesome venue. Look forward to hopefully getting back there this year and seeing what it has in store for the Eagles.
I lied. One follow-up. Is there any chip on the shoulder for the players who came back? You all came up one game short. Will they use that as motivation this year?
Yeah, no doubt. I was talking the other day with a couple senior leaders, and we're absolutely proud of what we were able to accomplish. But at the end of the day, there was an ultimate goal that was failed in our to our standards, I should say. But yeah, we're gonna use it. But at the end of the day, we gotta look at the game ahead of us. So that's a long way away. This is a marathon, not a sprint, as fast as it may go. But the long-winded answer is yeah, absolutely, and look forward for another opportunity to get back there and hopefully do something different this time.
Perfect, coach. Well, thank you so much for your time this morning. Best of luck to the Eagles this year, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate it.